Page 13, and welcome back to part 3 of this tutorial. We're going to be finishing up our album shortly. Let's get this out of our paper pack. On the back, it looks like this. Let's go ahead and trim off this first. Now let's measure over 6 inches and cut. Let's just double those up, measure over 8 inches, and cut. Stick these in our reserves. Stick this side off for our final page 14. We'll work with this. In your paper pack, you will find this print. On the back, it looks like this. Let's first trim off this top piece. Okay, let's just go ahead and measure over 6 inches and cut. This one, let's place with page 14. Let's go ahead and turn this, measure over 5.5 inches, and cut. Let's stick this in our reserves. And we are going to do a little cutting on this. We're going to make a pocket out of this. We will need some white cardstock to back it. But to start, we're just going to come in from the side and do some easy fussy cutting. I'm not going to get too complicated on this one. So that's pretty much what I have. Okay. This piece I'm just going to stick in my reserves. And now I'm going to grab a piece of white cardstock and check your reserves for this. All I'm going to do, and you're going to want something that's at least, I think, 8.5 inches wide, because you are going to need a flap on either side. And you're going to need at least, to be safe, let's go ahead and just say 1 inch down this way. Okay, so once you have that and you are straight on both sides, we're going to glue that right on down. Once you have yours glued down, we're going to come in from the side here, and I'm going to leave a little bit of white border showing, but I'm going to be cutting out around this. When I get up here, I'm going to go straight across. So let's do that, and I'll show you what mine looks like. Alright, let's do this the simple way. Line up this as best you can, side to side. And you can tell by up here this should meet the side of this, and over here should meet the side of this. And we're just going to make a pencil mark here and here. Okay? So, somewhere over there. I'm going to put one up closer. It's going to make it easier for me, at least. Bring one up here so I can line it up. Alright. Grabbing my scoring tool, and I'm just going to line that notch up, or that line up with my thing there. Okay, now all I have to do is the same thing I did down here, and I'm going to use my ruler just to place it to the side, the bottom of that sheet, and I'm going to make a pencil mark. And then I can line that up. Okay, once you have this one, measure over 1/8 of an inch to the left, and we should be doing that over here too. So 1/8 to the left of that score line, and then you'll do the same right here, 1/8 of an inch. And I better turn mine around. Almost forgot. Okay, now all we have to do is cut on the inner score line up to the top score line like we've been doing, and cut those out, those little square let's fold on our score lines. Okay, so mounting this style of a pocket, remember the bottom score line we're going to pinch on. We're just going to bring that right on up and try and be even on the sides. Make sure you can still wrap around, which I can. Once you have it there, let's go ahead and tack down that flap. And then we can move this down. Wrap our other ones around and glue it down. In my reserves, I have this piece. It's long and narrow. And I'm going to go ahead and use this strip for butterflies. And I think I'm going to do a couple of them here. And I'm just going to set that off to the side. Let's go ahead and glue a piece of bling to the inside of those butterflies. Now I'm going to add stickles to my butterfly. However, first things first, I'm going to flip this over, apply my score tape around the outside, one down the middle, two shorter ones on either side. So let's do that. I'm going to glue one of my butterflies right here. And I'm going to glue another one right about here. I've got my stickles and I am going to apply some. Once my stickles are dry, this page is complete and I will remove my score tape and mount this in my book. We're on to page 14, our final page. We're on page 14, our final page to this album. When we're done completing this page and we have everything in our album, our pages adhered in our album, we'll move on to completing the side closure of our album. Now, picture mats you'll be doing on your own. I don't do those in these tutorials. The reason why is because everyone has their own taste to the size of their pictures. If you are making this album to sell or perhaps as a gift, I would stick to standard size picture mats. Maybe 5 by 7, 4 by 6, 3.5 by 5, and maybe some squared up ones. Okay, let's get a piece of cardstock out. Cut a piece of cardstock that is 6 1/4 inches by 5 3/8 of an inch. We are 6 1/4 inches long this way. Those of you using the punches, you will punch along this side. Those of us that are using the dies, I am in the ornate borders and pockets. I have this die and then this die. And all we're going to do is place this all the way at the top, and we're going to center it, of course, from side to side. And we're going to run this through our die cutter. And then we cut in from the sides. In your reserves, you will find this piece on the back. It looks like this. We're going to center this from side to side and glue that right on down. Okay, everyone, let's go ahead and place this on our paper cutter. And what you're going to want to do is score just underneath your print here. So mine is right here. Then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to crease this. Let's grab a magnet and place one right here. Alright, let's go ahead and just hook this right here, center, side from side, and tack this down. Okay, we can flip that down. Let's find our piece. In your reserves, you should find this piece. Back, it looks like this. I'm going to set mine down on this, and I'm going to come over here and make a pencil mark, but down here we're going to want to trim, and I would say about 3/16 of an inch up from the bottom. So let's go ahead and trim this down. Let's go ahead and apply glue to this and center this side to side and bring it down so that you have a white border here and here. And be careful of your score line there. Let's do this, just fold it right on up here. Let's flip it over. Let the mate find where the other magnet is and glue that down. Let's set this off to the side and get another piece of cardstock. Go ahead and cut a 6.5 inch by 8 inch piece of cardstock. I am 6.5 inches across at 5 7/8 of an inch. Let's score. And at 6 inches, let's score. And let's go ahead and fold on our score lines. Our flap is off to the right. Let's just go ahead and pinch and fold back that flap completely so all we see is what we're working with. In our paper pack, we will find this sheet on the back. It's a peach. Let's go ahead and cut off that top trim piece. Measure over 5 3/4 of an inch and cut. Now place this down. We should have a white border going around. Come down here, make a pencil mark, and trim. Go ahead and apply glue and glue that down. In your reserves, you should find this sheet. On the back is this. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut like this. Mount a piece of white cardstock to the back of it, and then let's apply glue to the bottom and glue this right on down. This is going to be a pocket, so you can stick stuff behind there. Let's go ahead and flip this open. Okay, in your paper pack, you will find this sheet on the back. It's green. Let's first trim off this top piece. Alright, I've turned mine to where it looks like this. We want to all stick together on this. Measure over 5 5/8 of an inch and cut. Stick this in your reserves. Now let's go ahead, and I'm going to turn mine like this so the church is up. Now, because I want to be able to have this cutting for a picture mat, I think it's beautiful. So if you're looking at it like this, just center that right on in there, make a pencil mark, and cut. Look in your reserves first for a piece you can either cut down or is this size. Go ahead and cut a piece that is 8.5 inches by 3.5 inches. There is no decorative border to be die cut on this one. We're just going to do a straight pocket. Let's line our score tape down here. And mount this pocket. Wrap our flaps around the back and tack that down. In your reserves, you will find a piece like this with the church. And I am going to, let's go ahead and do the same. Mine's already cut where I have a blue border. Let's cut the other side with a blue border. Now let's go ahead and trim right underneath that black floral line there. Let's go ahead, apply glue, center that, and I'm going to make sure that I have a white border on the top and just a little bit down below. And glue that down. Make sure your flap is off to the left. Let's apply glue to this. Center it on our page, making sure we are clear of that score line there. And we're going to glue that down. Let's attach our fold out. Same way we have been. I'm just going to make sure mine is even here. And once I have that, I'm going to pinch it and tack down my flap. Let's go ahead and apply our score tape to the back. One down the center and two shorter ones on either side. And then let's go ahead and mount our page 13 and this page in our book. You may have already mounted your page 13. I have not yet. I was waiting for my stickles to dry. Okay, mine is mounted. If you would like to put another flower somewhere, you can. I believe that mine, I'm happy with it. Let's go ahead and move on to installing this other side of the stritz. Okay, so I have this, and all I'm going to do is thread up one side and down the other with some ribbon, and I can cut this shorter if I want. I'm going to hook it on there. And the one thing that we want to do when we bring this around the back is we want to make sure that we're not cinching it tight. We don't have our pincher mats in there. I'm going to lay mine on its back there on the spine. Now one thing, you don't want it to be too loose like this, but you want to be able to have it so the sides are up. Oops, what do I got there? So once you feel like you have some room in there, like if I was to grab it right here on the side and just pinch it, I still have some wiggle room in here, as you can see, and it's going to work for me. So once I know where that's supposed to be, over here, I usually just pinch it and grab a little hot glue and get underneath there. Okay. So now you should be able to latch it, and it's easy, and it will be until you get those picture mats in there, and then it's going to lay out straight. Okay, I'm going to flip this on over to the side. We have one more, or at least I do. You should have more, but I'm using this from my last tutorial. And I have this in my Jolie's pack. Now one thing I want to do is kind of flip over these little tails. So I'll have one there. And I will bring this one over too. And I'm going to cut these a little shorter. Okay, the Jolie's, I'm going to remove that adhesive. To me, it's a strong adhesive, but I want to make sure that this is going to stay. So I'm going to grab some of my glue here. Put plenty on there. And you may want to grab a binder clip. And I'm just going to glue that right on down the fabric. And I'm going to let that sit for about 5 minutes. Now one thing you may have noticed is that, like on page 14, I had you set this off to the side. I said we were going to use this. I decided not to. I decided to go a different route and use some of the other papers so that we had this left over for a nice folder or some picture mats. This album is complete. I hope that you have enjoyed the tutorial. I will be doing a tutorial album with the Graphic 45 Portrait of the Lady coming up soon, along with the chipboard pieces. I do have another tutorial coming up that isn't a mini album, that is kind of a fun altered art or a project that has a use. So so long as I can get that one to work out right. I'm still working out the pattern for it. So we'll see on that. Happy crafting, everybody, and thanks for joining me once again.